Your mind is the most powerful tool you possess. It's also your most dangerous enemy. Like a double-edged sword, it can lift you from nothing to everything, or drag you back down into the darkness. It whispers doubts when you're about to take a leap. It replays painful memories, keeping you chained to the past. It screams at you to stay comfortable, even when growth demands you move forward. You know exactly what you need to do, but you don't do it. Not for lack of knowledge, not for lack of WEF time. You simply don't act. And that inaction is eating away at you, isn't it? In feudal Japan, the samurai discovered something more terrifying than death on the battlefield. It wasn't the enemy's sword or the prospect of defeat. It was something quieter, more insidious, a battle that took place entirely within their own minds. They named it Udan, the erosion of vigilance, the slumbering of discipline. Here's what makes Udan so dangerous. It doesn't prey on the weak or unprepared. It targets those who've already succeeded, those who've let their guard down, those who believe they've made it. But the samurai also developed a powerful counter-philosophy. They called it Ketsudan, the art of cutting through hesitation, of transforming knowledge into immediate action. Today, you'll learn the story of Taeshi, a young warrior who achieved his greatest dream, then nearly lost everything through a single, devastating mistake. A mistake you might be making right now. His journey will teach you something most people never realize. That voice in your head is lying to you. Chapter 1. The Rise. Taeshi was 12 when he first saw a samurai, not in glorious combat, but on an ordinary morning at the village well. The warrior's movements held purpose. Every gesture carried decades of discipline compressed into a single moment. That day, Taeshi made his decision. I will become a samurai. But decisions are easy. Everyone decides. What matters is what follows. Nobody is born a genius. Nobody. The people we admire, those who achieve extraordinary things, weren't handed success on a silver platter. They worked relentlessly, as if their lives depended on it. Taeshi understood this instinctively. He rose before dawn. He trained until his palms bled and his eyes burned from studying strategy texts. While other children played, he practiced kata. While they rested, he meditated on the teachings of Sun Tzu and Miyamoto Musashi. His mind tried to stop him every single day. You're tired. You deserve rest. This is too hard. But Taeshi didn't listen. He took action despite the thoughts. 3 years later, at 15, something extraordinary happened. Master Yamada accepted him into his sword school, one of the most prestigious in the province. If each generation saw only 5 students chosen, Taeshi was one of them. The training was merciless. 4 a.m. wake-ups, meditation in freezing snow, combat drills until collapse. But Taeshi endured because his hunger drove him. His dream extended beyond becoming just another samurai. He wanted to command armies, to become a respected strategist and advisor to the daimyo. At 18, Taeshi graduated. Master Yamada presented him with the 2 swords, katana and wakizashi, symbols of the samurai path. You've earned the right to carry these blades, the master said. But understand this, the real battle begins now, the battle against yourself. Taeshi heard the words, but he didn't truly listen. Do you understand the difference? Chapter 2. The Enemy Within. For the first few months, Taeshi maintained his discipline, early mornings, rigorous training, constant study. Then something shifted. Something subtle. Something deadly. He now had a salary, respect, a title. People called him Samurai Taeshi. He had made it, hadn't he? I'll train tomorrow, he began telling himself. Today I deserve rest. One day became a week became a month. Your mind wasn't designed to make you successful. It was designed to keep you safe. This is why you procrastinate when faced with difficult tasks. Why you feel paralyzed by fear when making big decisions. Why you struggle with self-doubt when stepping outside your comfort zone. Your brain is wired for survival, not success. It treats anything unfamiliar as a potential threat. Taeshi had fallen into humanity's oldest trap, confusing achievement with arrival, believing that crossing the finish line meant the race was over. The Japanese call this Udan, written with characters meaning oil and cut. The concept suggests that vigilance slips away. Like oil through your fingers, you lose control without realizing it. Here's Udan's terrible power. It doesn't shout warnings. It whispers justifications. It doesn't appear as obvious laziness, but as reasonable thinking. I've trained enough. I've proven myself. I deserve this break. Most people never realize they're fighting a war inside their own heads. They assume their thoughts are facts. They believe every fear, every insecurity, every excuse their mind generates. They internalize labels: weak, incapable, unworthy of success. But understand this. Your mind is not broken. It's just untrained. Like an untrained dog, it runs wild, dragging you in every direction. But with the right approach, you can train it to serve you instead of sabotaging you. 6 months after graduation, Taeshi received his first real mission. Bandits were terrorizing border villages. 5 samurai were assigned. Taeshi, the youngest, had one specific role: protect the right flank during their planned ambush. Simple, something he practiced hundreds of times. The ambush unfolded as planned. The bandits walked into the trap. Then, 3 bandits broke away and attacked exactly where Taeshi stood. His body responded, but it responded with 6 months of rust, slow movements, confused assessment. By the time he neutralized 2 attackers, the third had already slipped past. That third bandit went straight for Kenji, an experienced samurai who'd trusted Taeshi to guard that flank. Kenji's scream echoed through the forest. Then, silence. When the dust settled, 5 bandits lay dead. So did Kenji. Chapter 3. The Reckoning. The return journey stretched endlessly. No one spoke, but Taeshi felt the weight of their gazes. Not angry, but worse, disappointed. Master Yamada was waiting when they arrived. He already knew. Taeshi, come with me. They walked in silence to the Zen garden. The master sat. Taeshi remained standing, unable to find peace enough to sit. Tell me what happened, the master said. Not an order, but an invitation. Taeshi recounted everything, every detail, every mistake. He expected shouting, punishment, expulsion. What came instead surprised him. Are you familiar with the concept of Udan? The master asked. No, sensei. Udan is negligence. It's when you lower your guard. When you stop sharpening your blade because it's already sharp enough. Udan has killed more samurai than any enemy ever could. The master picked up a whetstone and an old, neglected blade. See this sword? It was once magnificent. Could slice bamboo like paper. But its owner stopped sharpening it, stopped cleaning it, stopped training with it. Now, just rusty iron, useless, dangerous even to its wielder. Each word struck Taeshi like a blow. You earned the title of samurai, Taeshi, but you treated it as a destination, as if the journey had ended. You committed Udan, and Udan always demands payment. The master paused, then continued with deeper intensity. Let me explain something the samurai of the Sengoku period understood deeply. Udan is not mere laziness, it's far more dangerous. He drew a circle in the garden sand. Imagine this represents your vigilance, your attention, your discipline. When you're striving toward achievement, the circle remains perfect. You're focused. But the moment you achieve your goal, he paused, watching the circle. It begins to crack, small fractures, invisible at first. With a swift gesture, he erased the circle completely. Until one day, it vanishes entirely. Chapter 4. The battle is within. The master stood and looked directly into Taeshi's eyes. The great strategists had a rule. Victory is the moment of greatest danger. Why? Because that's when you relax, when you think you know enough, when you stop training as if your life depends on it. He paused, letting the weight settle. Udan doesn't attack the weak, it attacks the competent, those who've already proven their worth. Why? Because only those who've achieved something have something to lose through negligence. Taeshi, you trained 3 years to enter this school, 3 more to graduate. But these past 6 months, you stopped. Not completely. You did the bare minimum, but the bare minimum keeps you where you are. It doesn't take you where you want to go. The master's words echoed a truth that applies to everyone. If you don't learn to control your mind, it will control you. It will make you second-guess yourself. It will keep you weak. It will stop you from becoming the person you're meant to be. You wanted to become a strategist, to command armies. But how can you lead others if you cannot lead yourself? How can you earn trust when you've broken the trust you had in yourself? Then the master taught him the antidote. There is something that cures Udan, he said, his voice gaining intensity. The samurai called it Ketsudan. He unsheathed his katana. Even in dim light, the blade gleamed. Ketsudan means decision, but not just any decision. The characters mean to cut away doubt, to separate thought from action. With fluid motion, he cut through the air. The blade sang. When a samurai draws his sword in battle, there's no room for hesitation. No time for, should I? Or, what if I fail? Or, maybe tomorrow. Between thought and action, there is only death. Ketsudan eliminates that space. Chapter 5. The Antidote to Mental Slavery. The master sheathed his sword and turned to Taeshi. You know what you need to do now, don't you? Yes, sensei. I need to resume training. I need to. No. The master's voice cut like his katana. You're doing exactly what Udan wants. You're thinking, planning, promising. Tomorrow I'll train. Next week I'll study strategy. Next month He pointed toward the dojo. Ketsudan isn't tomorrow, it's now. It's not about planning to train, it's about training. The difference between a living samurai and a dead one isn't how much they know. It's the speed between knowing and doing. This is the truth most people never grasp. You don't overcome negative thoughts by fighting them. You overcome them by taking action despite them. If your mind says, I don't feel like working out, go anyway. If it tells you, I'll start tomorrow, start today. If it tells you, I'm not good enough, prove it wrong through effort. Action is the only way to retrain your brain. The more you act despite fear, the less control fear has over you. Then, the master shared a story that would change Taeshi forever. During the Battle of Sekigahara, a young samurai named Yoshimura knew he needed to protect his lord. He'd trained his entire life for that moment, but when battle came, he hesitated. Just 3 seconds. What if I fail? He wondered. In those 3 seconds, an arrow struck his lord. Yoshimura spent the rest of his short life knowing it wasn't lack of skill that killed his lord. It was lack of Ketsudan. The silence hung heavy. Taeshi, you have a choice now. A real choice. Not between training or not training. That's easy. The real choice is between being someone who knows what to do or someone who does what they know. At the end of the day, everyone faces this same choice. Path 1. Let your mind control you. live in fear, doubt, and procrastination. Stay weak. Never reach your full potential. Path 2. Control your mind. Train it. Strengthen it. Push past your limits. Become unstoppable. The enemy is not the world, not your circumstances, not other people. The enemy is your own mind. Chapter 6. The Awakening. Taeshi didn't respond with words. Words would only be more thought without action. He stood, bowed deeply, and walked straight to the dojo. It was nearly 6 p.m. Group training had ended. The dojo was empty. Perfect. Taeshi picked up his training sword and began basic kata, the same movements he'd practiced 1,000 times as a student. But now, each movement carried different weight. Each cut through air was a cut through Udan. Each step forward was a step away from mental slavery. 1 hour became 2, 2 became 3. When other samurai arrived for the next morning's training, Taeshi was still there, sweaty, exhausted, but with something in his eyes they hadn't seen in months. Did he not sleep? One samurai asked Master Yamada. He's been sleeping for 6 months, the master replied. Today he woke up. But Taeshi knew 1 day of training wouldn't erase 6 months of neglect. Udan is easy to invite but hard to evict, so he made a decision. He approached Master Yamada with an unusual request. Sensei, I want responsibility for cleaning the dojo every day before the first session and after the last. The master raised an eyebrow. Cleaning was a beginner's task. For a fully trained samurai, it bordered on humiliation. Why do you want this? Because I need a daily reminder. I need to be here at sunrise and sunset. I need to see the others training. I need to force myself to be present. If I let my commitment depend on motivation, I'll fail again. But if I create an external obligation, something others depend on me for, perhaps I can keep Udan at bay. Master Yamada smiled. Not with happiness, but with recognition. You understand. Ketsudan isn't about one heroic action. It's about 1,000 small actions. It's about eliminating the possibility of hesitation by removing choice. Granted, the dojo is yours to care for. Chapter 7. The 5 Pillars of Mental Mastery. The following months were different, not because Taeshi felt excited. Excitement ebbs and flows like tides, but because he'd built something more powerful, structure. Every day at 4:30 a.m., he cleaned the dojo, no exceptions, rain or shine, sick or healthy, because Ketsudan doesn't negotiate with circumstances. Through this daily practice, Taeshi internalized the 5 principles that would transform his mind from enemy to ally. 1. Understand that your thoughts are not reality. Just because your mind says, I can't do this, doesn't make it true. While cleaning, Taeshi practiced fundamentals, footwork, stances, breathing, the unglamorous work that separates mediocre samurai from lethal ones. And as he practiced, he observed his thoughts without attaching to them. When negative thoughts arose, he questioned them. Is this actually true? He learned to recognize when his mind was trying to keep him comfortable, not capable. The moment you realize your thoughts are not always facts, you gain power over them. 2. Embrace discomfort daily. Your mind grows weak when you avoid discomfort. After group training, while others rested, Taeshi stayed another hour, sometimes 2, studying strategy, simulating battles, analyzing his weaknesses with the same brutality he'd use analyzing an enemy's. The key to controlling your mind is exposing it to difficulty every single day. Take cold showers. Push yourself physically and mentally. Do hard things even when you don't want to. The more discomfort you can endure, the stronger your mind becomes. This is what separates those who thrive from those who remain stuck. 3. Guard what you consume. Your mind is shaped by what you feed it. Taeshi immersed himself in the teachings of the great strategists. He studied the writings of Takuan Soho, the Zen monk who advised many samurai. A mind that hesitates is dead. A mind that flows is alive. Between the thought of attacking and the attack itself, there should not be room for a sheet of paper. If you consume negativity, doubt, and distractions, your mind will work against you. Limit social media and negative news. Surround yourself with people who push you higher. Read books, listen to podcasts, consume content that strengthens your mindset. Your brain is like a sponge. Whatever you soak it in will shape your thoughts and actions. 4. Train emotional discipline. Instead of reacting emotionally to situations, train yourself to observe them. Then came a day that changed everything. 3 months into his renewed training, Taeshi was practicing when he heard a familiar voice. "Your right flank is still open." It was Hideyoshi, one of the samurai from the mission, the one who'd watched Kenji die because of Taeshi's failure. Taeshi stopped. His mind screamed at him, anger, shame, run. But he'd been training. He paused, observed the emotion without being controlled by it. "Let me show you something," Hideyoshi said. He picked up a training sword and demonstrated a movement, a subtle rotation that kept the flank protected even during multiple attacks. "Kenji taught me this. He was obsessed with leaving no openings. I think he'd want you to know." Something broke inside Taeshi. "Why are you helping me? I failed. Kenji died because I failed." Hideyoshi sheathed his sword and met Taeshi's eyes. Kenji used to say, "The death of one samurai teaches more than the lives of 100. If you use his death as an excuse to give up, then it was meaningless. But if you use it as fuel to never fail again, then perhaps it saved not only you, but everyone you'll protect in the future." When something upsets you, pause. Ask yourself, why am I reacting this way? Instead of letting emotions dictate your actions, choose to respond with logic and self-awareness. Train yourself to detach from impulsive reactions and act with intention. This single habit will transform your ability to stay in control no matter what happens around you. 5. Transform pain into purpose. At that moment, Taeshi understood something profound about Ketsudan. It wasn't just about acting without hesitation. It was about transforming pain into purpose, failure into foundation. Master Yamada often echoed Miyamoto Musashi's teachings. Train as if each practice were your last battle, and enter battle as if it were just another practice. This apparent contradiction is Ketsudan's essence. Training with total intensity, yet acting without anxiety. Action becomes so natural, it ceases to be conscious choice. It becomes reflex. The Hagakure warns, the samurai who thinks he has mastered the sword is the next to fall by it. Never assume you've arrived. Never stop sharpening your blade. Chapter 8. The Transformation. 6 months later, Taeshi received another mission. Same type, protect the flank, ambush bandits. But this time, something was different. Not his movements, Technically, he'd been capable for a year. What differed was the absence of doubt, the absence of hesitation. When 3 bandits attacked his flank again, his body simply responded. No. Can I do this? No. What if I miss? Only movement, clean, precise, efficient. All the samurai returned alive. His transformation proved what David Goggins discovered centuries later in a different land, a different era, that through sheer discipline and mental training, you can transform yourself from a nobody into one of the toughest people alive. Goggins wasn't always the disciplined, unstoppable force he is today. Before he became a Navy SEAL, an ultra-marathon runner, and a best-selling author, he was overweight, broke, and drowning in self-doubt. But like Taeshi, he made a decision. He was going to master his mind. He started doing things that made him uncomfortable, waking up early, running miles when every cell in his body screamed to stop, pushing himself beyond what he thought possible. Every time his mind told him to quit, he pushed harder. He realized that his thoughts were just noise, not reality. Both men proved the same truth. Your mind is your greatest enemy until you make it your greatest weapon. Chapter 9. The Ultimate Victory. But Taeshi's story didn't end there. Remember his dream? Strategist, commander. 2 years later, during tense clan negotiations, Taeshi noticed something no one else had seen. An opportunity for an alliance that could prevent a bloody war. He could have stayed silent. It wasn't his place to speak. He was just a young samurai. But Ketsudan doesn't ask if it's the right time. Ketsudan acts when action is necessary. His mind whispered, "What if they reject you? What if you're wrong? You'll look foolish." But by now, Taeshi had trained himself to recognize these thoughts as the prison guards of potential. He observed them, then he acted anyway. Taeshi spoke. He presented his analysis. He proposed the alliance. To everyone's surprise, the leaders accepted. War was avoided. Hundreds of lives were saved. Master Yamada was present. Afterward, he called Taeshi aside. "Do you know what you just did?" "I saw an opportunity and acted." "Exactly. A strategist isn't someone who knows everything. It's someone who acts on what they know. Congratulations, Taeshi. You've finally become what you were always capable of being." When you learn to master your mind, everything changes. Fear no longer paralyzes you. Self-doubt no longer holds you back. You stop making excuses and start making progress. Suddenly, life is no longer something that happens to you. It's something you take charge of. You realize you are the one in control. Your turn, the battle awaits. Let me ask you something. You're not Taeshi. You're not a samurai in feudal Japan. But you have your own flank to protect, don't you? That project you know you should start. That difficult conversation you need to have. That habit you know needs changing. That workout, that study session, that phone call. You know what to do. The issue isn't knowledge. It never was. The question is, are you committing Udan right now? Did you achieve something in the past and now you're coasting? Are you waiting for the perfect moment that will never arrive? Most people spend their entire lives listening to that voice of fear and self-doubt, never realizing they have the power to change it. They let their thoughts dictate their reality instead of taking control and shaping their own destiny. But the people who achieve greatness, the people who transform their lives, understand one fundamental truth. Your thoughts do not define you, your actions do. Because here's the truth the samurai understood. The right time is now. It always has been. It always will be. Ketsudan isn't about grand heroic decisions. It's about closing the gap between knowing and doing. It's about eliminating internal negotiation. It's about transforming intention into action so quickly they become indistinguishable. Taeshi nearly lost everything before learning this. Will you wait until you lose something precious, or will you wake up now? The final choice. Kenji's death taught Taeshi that tomorrow is a promise you might not keep. Not because you don't want to, but because tomorrow might not come. Yes, it's hard. Training your mind is one of the hardest things you will ever do. But so is staying the same. So is living with regret. So is looking back years from now and realizing you never became the person you were meant to be. So ask yourself this: which pain do you want to choose? The pain of discipline or the pain of regret? So I challenge you. When this ends, don't think about what you're going to do. Don't plan. Don't promise. Do one thing. One small action in the direction of what you know you need to do. Because the difference between who you are and who you can become isn't some magical future transformation. It's in the next decision, the next move, the next hour. Udan is waiting to lull you back to sleep. Ketsudan is waiting to wake you up. The battle is inside your head. The enemy is not the world, not your circumstances, not other people. The enemy is your own mind. But your mind can also be your greatest ally if you train it right. At the end of the day, your mind will either be your greatest enemy or your greatest weapon. The choice, as always, is entirely yours. But remember, choosing not to choose is already a choice, and it's usually the worst one. What will be your first action after reading this? You know what to do. Just do it.